The ayah that is going to be the focus of our introduction is the ayah number 118 from Surah Hud. Going back to our class notes, and you have it here. So let me put the other view, continuous, and here. So the jurisprudence and ethics of disagreement, فقه الخلاف وأدب الاختلاف. فقه الخلاف وأدب الاختلاف. The introduction is going to be an analytic tafsir of ayah 11:118 to 119, and this is the translation of it. Also, the discord purpose of creation. That's the main question that we would like to answer in this ayah. And the malaise of discord, as we're going to read part of the introduction of the author too in the book that we have mentioned. So the ayah as it read here, so if you can read the ayah. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى وما كان ربك ليهلك القرى بظلم وأهلها مصلحون. That's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala divine law, and your Lord will never destroy the towns wrongfully while their people were right doers. That's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala justice, and Allah is the all just. ولو شاء ربك لجعل الناس أمة واحدة. And if your Lord had so willed, He could surely have made mankind one ummah, one nation or community, following the same, religion. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the whole humankind on the same inner disposition. Everyone has the same fitrah. So imagine this fitrah will have that ability to grow and to be developed and to to live or to see the light of this life without any change. So everybody will be the same. قال Allah, if He willed, He could have done that. ولا يزالون مختلفين. They will, but they will cease not to be always differing. And He said, قال, but they will not cease to disagree, but they will not cease to differ, but they will not cease to dispute. إلا من رحم ربك, except whom your Lord has given mercy. And for that He created them. Now the question mark is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He created mankind to differ, or created mankind to shower them with His mercy? Because قال وَلِذَلِكَ خَلَقَهُمْ, for that purpose, for that Allah created them. However, إِلَّا مَنْ رَحِمَ رَبُّكَ is an exception. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, except those who showered with His mercy. So He created them to shower with His mercy those who do not follow the path of different, or the path of deviation, or the path of dispute, or Allah created the creation so they will, be different. And this is actually, it's an ayah that it has a lot, I would not say controversy, but it has a lot of analysis among the scholar of tafsir. And our intro to the khilaf, because when we're talking about differences of opinion, or differences would differ between us, we disagree, the disagreement, it is bad or it is good. Now the answer, it's both bad and good, and that's what we're trying to, inshallah, to analyze in this ayah. If you go back to the notes, I will have compiled some of the tafsir been written in Arabic, so we're gonna go, inshallah, and read them and try to, give you the comment in English and the analysis and the explanation, inshallah ta'ala. So here in the ayah قال ولو شاء ربك لجعل الناس أمة واحدة. If Allah so willed, He would have make the whole humankind be one nation, one community. قال ابن عباس لو شاء أن يجعلهم كلهم مسلمين لفعل. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala willed, He would, I mean, it's His will. If He has will, He will have made the whole humankind to be Muslim, submitted to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَا يَزَالُونَ مُخْتَلِفِينَ, but they didn't cease to disagree. They continue to be always, differing. So here, when you read the ayah, the way we have read it, I mean, if I'll invite you to read it again and to reflect on it, especially these two ayat, if I reduce one of the translation, we might see them both in one screen. Okay. Yeah, here. Okay. So these two ayat here. That's fine. So if you read this ayat, وَلَا يَزَالُونَ مُخْتَلِفِينَ إِلَّا مَنْ رَحِمَ, they will not cease to disagree except those who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or except whom your Lord has given mercy, and for that He created them, Trying to think about it, so inshallah to have better understanding of what I am going to share with you. طيب. قال ولا يزالون مختلفين. So في المشار إليه قوله, the Ahlul Ilmi, the scholars rahimahumullah ta'ala, they had two opinions in that, in explaining or to approach this ayah. أحدهما أنهم أهل الحق وأهل الباطل, رواه الضحاك عن ابن عباس, فيكون المعنى إن هؤلاء يخالفون هؤلاء. So according to the first opinion in explaining this ayah, so the disagreement is between the people who are following the truth and the people who are, on the path of the falsehood. And then they are always differing, always in disagreement, and that is a fact, because if they agree, then is a problem. I mean, the batil cannot agree, the haqq, the truth cannot agree with the falsehood. If they agree, then everything will be corrupted. So, إِنَّ هَؤُلَاءِ يُخَالِفُونَ هَؤُلَاءِ. You see, then when we try to explain it, you see how, the depth in it and the different meaning that we can extract from it. The second explanation, أنهم أهل الأهواء لا يزالون مختلفين. So the people who follow their whims, and they advance their opinion on the revelation or on the, the teaching of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or the right guidance. So these, they will be always differing and disputing. Why? Because they advance their own whims. So this one, also Akrimah, he narrated on behalf of Ibn Abbas radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala قال, except whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had mercy on them. قال ابن عباس هم أهل الحق, وقال الحسن أهل رحمة الله لا يختلفون. So Ibn Abbas, he said, except those who Allah showered with His mercy, these are the people who are following the truth, the true Muslims, the true believers. Al-Imam al-Hasan al-Basri said, those are the people of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the people of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they do not, differ or have, disagreement or dispute between them. وَلِذَلِكَ خَلَقَهُم. So this is the question that I have mentioned here in the beginning. Is the discord a purpose of creation? Is the disagreement a purpose of creation? So قال وَلِذَلِكَ خَلَقَهُم. For that Allah created them. قال, here there is four saying in this in this ayah, part of the ayah, to explain it. The first one, أنه يرجع إلى ما هم عليه. قال ابن عباس خلقهم فريقين فريقا يرحم فلا يختلف وفريقا لا يرحم يختلف. Look the steps that we're going to take to come to our main topic, inshallah. So according to Ibn Abbas, he said, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, so Allah created two groups, or the creation is going to end in two groups. A group that they're going to be showered with the mercy of Allah, they do not defer into the truth, and a group that they will not be embraced by the mercy of Allah, those who dispute and do not cease to disagree. The second saying, قال أنه يرجع إلى الشقاء والسعادة. The same, also Ibn Abbas said the same. So الشقاء والسعادة, you have الشقاء is the misfortune, والسعادة is the success and the happiness. So when you say السعادة, someone he's sa'idun, so someone who gets succeeded, and someone being embraced by the rahmah of Allah. وَالشَّقَاءُ is the misfortune, someone he's like he lost, or he's a loser, he lost his life by getting or following a wrong path. And this is also Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu saying that. اختاره الزجاج. الزجاج, one of the early scholars, said this, so he defended this opinion as an explanation to this ayah. قال لأن اختلافهم مؤديهم إلى سعادة وشقاء. Now, we are closer to the right meaning, to the meaning that it will help us to understand this ayah. So, we have differences. So, these differences, the ability to have differences, that we're going to explain it further, that is going to lead you to be a successful person, or to be someone who's going to lose everything. قال ابن جرير واللام في قوله ولذلك بمعنى على والثالث أنه يرجع إلى الاختلاف رواه مبارك عن الحسن. And the third saying, so when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, for that he created them, according to here Ibn al-Mubarak, it goes to al-ikhtilaf. So Allah created them to disagree. والرابع أنه يرجع إلى الرحمة. And the fourth saying, that for that he created them goes back to the mercy. So he created them to shower them with his mercy, and this is all of us, that what we know. We don't imagine, or like not being a student of knowledge, always we say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us to shower us with his mercy, and it's a fact, this is a reality. But this ayah is going to open up and widen your understanding actually. قال تحليل, this is our analysis here now. قال وقتادة يقول before that فعلى هذا يكون المعنى ولرحمته خلق الذين لا يختلفون في دينه. So those who do not dispute in his deen, he created them to embrace them and to give them his mercy subhanahu wa ta'ala. The tahleel, or the analysis of one of the scholars here, he's saying قال لما كان ذلك كله قد يثير توهم Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is, as we have mentioned, if you remember, and one of the maxims that one need to take in consideration when he's studying the book of Allah and make the tafsir, is to try to take the ayat into its full and complete context. So if you go back to read further ayat, we'll find the ayah before it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talking about generation before. So why were there not among the generation before you, if only there had been among the generation before you persons having wisdom, prohibiting other from doing fahisha or doing wrong in the earth, except a few of those whom we saved from among them. Those who did wrong pursued in the enjoyment of good things of life, and were disbelievers and sinners, etc. So in this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that the majority of the people before that they went to wrong, except a few that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved, and in this few they used to enjoy good and forbid evil. So when you look at this ayah, you might think that truly the nature of the human being is to do wrong. So that's why this ayah came to say no. Actually, قال قد يثير توهم أن تعاصي الأمم عما أراد الله منهم خروج عن قبضة القدرة الإلهية. The same saying, like if you see all this past generation, they were, for example, doing wrong, it's like one can think that they are not under the control of the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this ayah come to explain to you. قال أعقب ذلك بما يرفع هذا التوهم بأن الله قادر على أن يجعلهم أمة واحدة. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to not have this kind of illusion, to not be lured by the shaitan, that these people, there is no way, if they want to do wrong, they're gonna be wrong. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, no, if Allah willed, He could have make them one ummah. هذا التوهم بأن الله قادر أن يجعلهم أمة واحدة متفقة على الحق مستمرة عليه كما أمرهم أن يكون. So they will be all agreeing on the truth. They do not differ and following the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, the wisdom here upon which the whole system of the world was established, that Allah made the mind of the people to have the option to get into the error or into the guidance. And this is very important here. Okay? So, when you have the free will, how can you put in action your free will? If, for example, someone give you a menu of food and you've been somehow created to only eat one food, so from the menu, you're only gonna choose that only one food. Why? Because you've been created only knowing that food to be your food. So giving you the menu, it will be irrelevant. Why? Every time a person give this person a menu, he's gonna get the same food. So you question why he getting the same food. They say because he's created like that. So if you're gonna give me a menu that it had different type of food, you have to give me the ability to choose and to ability to consume other than the food that I know, right? So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if He give you the free will, He has also to create in you the ability to either go through the guidance or fall into the misguidance. Wadah. So here becomes, subhanallah, is like embedded into the purpose of the creation, in the nature of the creation to disagree. Because if we do not have the ability to disagree, we will not even have the ability to implement and to implement our free will. Rather. So here قال وفي مسلك الهدى على مبلغ استقامة التفكير والنظر. So this is required like reflecting, pondering, thinking. And that's how, by pondering and thinking, you're going to protect yourself from the screens, from the ways of the deviation. So, وأن الله تعالى لما خلق العقول صالحة لذلك جعل منها قبول الحق بحسب الفطرة التي هي سلامة العقول من عوارض الجهالة والضلال، وهي الفطرة الكاملة المشار إليها بقوله تعالى كان الناس أمة واحدة. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make the mind and make the intellect to, if it's clean and cleansed, he will follow its own purpose that was created for. So it follows the inner disposition that is created in us. And that's, subhanallah, the sound intellect that corresponds to sound heart. So if everyone connect, with his inner nature, he will get, as a result, to have a sound heart, sound mind, and that's how only the ummah or the whole humankind can be one nation. But as by their nature, they have the ability to choose, and this ability to choose will not be relevant only if you have the ability in your mind to disagree and to say, no, I don't accept this, no, I think this is good, and so on. And that process of thinking will help us to choose. Therefore, will not be really, it will be have, irrelevance to have to say that we have free will when we do not have that ability. So here he gives us an example. قال ولو شاء لخلق العقول البشرية على إلهام متحد لا تعدوه كما خلق إدراك الحيوانات. If Allah will have created the mind of the human being, it have the same way of idrak, the same way of perception, the same way of thinking. Then in this case, they will be like the animals, like the animals. So, for example, he gives us an example. قال فنجد حال البعير والشاة. Take, for example, the camel. Take the goat. In the time of Adam, alayhi salam, they have the same state, the same structure, the same way of behavior and living as today. The same. They didn't change. The goat and the camel in time of Adam alayhi salam, he had the same, the same way that we have it today. So if Allah created us with the same perception, with the same way of thinking, limited, then we'll be the same and will not do anything except what we've been, created. And I will say here, created with not free will. Created through a certain, controlled, then we don't do anything. We'll be like the herd. Go in here, eat, go sleep, and it will be generation after generation after generation after generation, the same. The way the camel they eat before is the same. You don't see camel after the old generation, they have restaurant for their own, or they sleep in different way. Only in the cartoons they come up with all these things. فقال وكذلك يكون إلى انقراض العالم, and the animal will be the same way behaving to the end of the time. So with no doubt, the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, اقتضت, in a way, the wisdom of Allah had presented, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had established the system of the mind, of the intellect, in a way to fulfill Allah's intent in this creation. So if we have the same perception like the animal, we will not be able to build, we will not be able to do anything. So the message will not, no one will be able to fulfill the message, because it is above our perception to even understand what he's talking about. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the example of the disbeliever, the ungrateful, because the ungrateful, what they did actually, the ungrateful people, they turn against their inner nature. By turning against their inner nature, they will not hear and they will not see what will be beneficial for them. Right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us in the Quran, He said, قَالَ وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا وَمَثَلُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا كَمَنْ يَنْعِقُ بِمَا لَا يَسْمَعُ. I'll give you this ayah. So to connect, subhanallah, because the problem when someone become, willingly make their intellect to be like the way, let's say, I will not say like animals, but it is actually, that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, but not animal like, animal in the way like low. No, it's not that. The animal in the way of their perception. They cannot think, they cannot plan, they cannot project, they cannot design, they cannot do anything of that. So I'll give you the example in Surah Al-Baqarah here. If you have Surah Al-Baqarah here. Okay, so it's not in the beginning, but farther in the beginning of the second hizb of Surah Al-Baqarah. Here, this ayah that I'm talking about, the likeness of those who disbelieve, or the example of those who disbelieve, is like that of one who shouts at what hears nothing but calls and cries. Cries cattle or sheep, deaf, dumb, and blind. So here, if you think of it as the example, the parable that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us, so the sheep and the cattle in general, if you talk to them, if you express your emotion, they're not able to understand what you're saying. So someone, if you read Quran, or if you read poetry, or if you read a book, for them it's a sound. It's just a sound. You see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala قال ينعق بما لا يسمع إلا دعاء. So they only can hear a call, dua, as he said here, hears nothing but calls and cries. So they make the difference between call, when you call them, they understand, they have, subhanallah, call, or screaming or cries, so they will be aware something, to aware them, to protect themselves. But to decode the words, they don't. So even when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked to us about the dogs, He said, you teach them from what Allah taught you, so they have the ability to know, a limit number of words or of gesture, etc. But this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it into certain animals to help the human being. And is only taught by the human being. Look, the time that it takes for example, horse or a camel or a dog to become like domesticated. So this is important to understand. So the khilaf, the disagreement, is actually part of our inner disposition and part of the purpose of the creation, because if it's not there, that will not be able to choose what is good and what is bad. فلذلك, when you go back to the ayah that we have mentioned, when he said قال ولذلك خلقهم, and for that he created them, we will have more understanding now. قال, so if we didn't have that ability, then we will not be able to know the difference between the good and the difference between the difference between the good and the bad. فلا جرم أن الله خلق البشر على نظام من شأنه طريان الاختلاف بينهم في الأجور ومنها. So it's with no doubt. So the purpose to be created in a way to disagree, then is going to lead for people to make the difference between the good and the bad, to carry and convey the message of Allah, to stop those who do wrong. Because if you see something wrong and you're not able or do not have the ability to disagree, then you will not then have the ability to object and to say, no, stop. You know, you might, I'll give you an example, would be Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Ayah, Surah Al-Baqarah, وَلَوْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ مَا اقْتَتَلُوا. So some people, for example, they defer and then they get into dispute, and after the dispute they might fight, get into wars. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, the fact to fight, it's part of the creation, to have that ability to fight. And what does it mean? That Allah could have created us without that ability. So you will not have the ability even to think about it. I don't know if you understand. I'll give you an example. I was reading one time something which was made into part of it into play or something, or movie. If you are, for example, in a gathering and someone next to a lake or a sea, someone get into the lake or the sea, and the person is drowning, what will be the reaction? Normal people, everybody is going to rush to help. So imagine that everybody is watching, continuing to eat, and not caring about it. Only one person screaming and pushing them to come help, and everybody looking weird at this person. This is literature, just to give you the idea. Then this person, in the story, he saved the one who was drowned. But he tried to understand, he came to blame them, then he found out that he could not blame them because these people, they do not have that emotion. They do not know what it means. If someone died, they don't feel anything. If someone is dying in front of them, they do not have that emotion at all. So, which is going to give you the reflection, many of our emotion, if we do not have them, you don't, it's like becoming, subhanAllah, it's like you become numb, you don't feel anything. Someone, for example, who fear. Someone who's fearless. There is people who had the disease to be fearless. It's a disease. So they lose the emotion of fearing. So these people, they get easy hurt. Why? Because they put themselves in a position that they do not have that emotion to make them be aware, to make them be help to protect themselves, and so on. So this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us. لَوْ شَاءَ Allah. If Allah willed, He could have done. So if we do not have the ability to disagree, then we will not even have the ability to convey the message of Allah, or have the ability even to enjoy good and forbid evil. So it comes to one main beautiful ayah in Surah Al-Anfal, قَالَ لِيَمِيزَ اللَّهُ الْخَبِيثَ مِنَ الطَّيِّبِ. For Allah, this also, as Allah قال تبارك الذي بيده الملك وعلى كل شيء الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا. Allah created death and life to test you whom among you is in good or best in action. صح ولا لا? This is So لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ is the purpose of the creation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, created you to worship Him. So the worship is the comprehensive, term of everything to be tested, to disagree, to be gain the rahmah of Allah, and so on. And to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make the difference between the good and the bad among the people. بِيَمِيزَ الْخَبِيث مِنَ الطَّيِّبِ. Now, when we go further, in the ayah, the ikhtilaf that we're talking about, the disagreement, is disagreement in the deen, in the way of the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the disagreement in the deen. And the disagreement in the deen has different meaning. The meaning that is mentioned in the ayah, that the disagreement leading to turn away from the deen. A disagreement leading to turn away or turn against the deen. Why? Because when we say this disagreement in the fundamental, it's not possible. This is what we're going to study later. Disagreement in the fundamental, it's not possible. Because there is only one truth. There's no multitude of truth. So if you disagree in the fundamental of the truth, that's a disagreement that turns a person against the truth. So, قال والاختلاف عقب عموم ولا يزالون مختلفين. So they do not cease to disagree, by the exception those who gain the mercy of Allah, who do not disagree in the fundamental of the deen. So here, which is give us as an answer to the question that we have mentioned, the disagreement is good or bad. We said it is good and it is bad. So here, then, قال الاختلاف, the one that is blamed, the disagreement and discord that is refuted, is the one in the fundamental of the deen, which lead for the person to turn against the deen. Despite the fact that the person claims that he is or she is following the deen. واضح. So, the blamed, the rejected disagreement is the one who touched the fundamental of the deen. We're going to explain, inshallah. So we're talking about the fundamental of the deen, we're talking about the aqidah, the creed. And whoever disagree in the fundamental of the deen, he's turn against the deen, out of the deen, despite the fact that he or she is still persisting that they are following the deen. And many of the people that they exist today, they follow totally different, a lifestyle that really and completely conflict in the fundamental of the deen. For example, someone who follow a lifestyle to, let's say, from the things that they are very common today in the society. Someone, for example, who want to legalize drugs and adhere to this, I will not say to this idea, to this movement, and make it as a part of, of their cause, and believe in it. A person like this, despite the fact he insists or she insists they are from the deen and following Islam, we say no. This is a fundamental in the deen. Allah made it clear, and His Prophet, that this is prohibited. So, if the greatest of scientists, they will tell you, no, in these drugs there's medication and medicine. He said, wallah, if it has a bring death to life, it is haram, because that's not true. It might, help 3%, but damage 97%. And beside that, I submit to Allah, or I submit to the knowledge of people who try to convince me that it's good. Or the one, the most merciful, subhanahu wa ta'ala, I'm seeking mercy from him. So if the most merciful tell me this is prohibited, so my adherence to what the most merciful tell me, that's my deen. So sometimes things like, this, and it's common now, right? To legalize the drugs. Some people said it has a good compound. If we take out that compound and then use it, and it does not have the effect of the drugs. They said, of course, if you take something out of it and everything that you change it to a different nature, it does not have the effect of the drug and will not, intoxicate, that's fine. It's like you taking out of, things, substance that kills, like poisons, take out of it compound that helps and really cure, you can use it. But to make legalized, for example, I'm talking about a subject that it is very common today, or to adhere to principle for certain, gender issues and everything. And when you look at the Book of Allah and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, is fully contradicting. There's a big difference between, people they doing, and you respect the people are being people. But to adhere to what they do and support, and you make it your own cause, that's totally different action. It's very important, especially as a student of knowledge, to understand this, because we don't want to study things that is disconnected from our reality. So we study things to understand actually our reality. So here, when we take in the fundamental of the deen, don't tell me that someone fundamental of the deen that someone said God does not exist. That's an obvious. But there's many other things from the fundamental of the deen that people, they take it lightly. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made something to be haram, that is fundamental of the deen. Anything that the scholar, they called it in the level, قال Al-Imam al-Shafi'i has a beautiful wording for it, and it's known in al-Usul, which is معلوم من الدين بالضرورة. معلوم من الدين بالضرورة. This type of knowledge that everyone, young and old, male and female, they must know it. Knowledgeable or knowledgeable, except those who are, mentally have an problem with their mental capacity. It's either someone insane or too young to understand. معلوم من الدين بالضرورة. المعلوم, the known from the deen, by darura, by necessity, which is mean when you are Muslim, by necessity you have to know this. Okay? Someone sitting at a table and ordering a pig said, "You're not Muslim?" I said, "Yeah, but this is, it's haram." "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know." I say, it does not work. If you are Muslim, everything, the first thing that people, they tell you about that is, someone say, "Oh, I didn't know zakat is haram, it's obligation." So those are ma'lum min ad-din min darura. Now, even you enter to any restaurant, when you say, "Oh, for example, I want this without the bacon," for example, you see many people, they say, "Can we?" Said, "Of course, if they take out of it the haram thing, you can eat it." So you'll find even people here, with the seeing the Muslim, they know. Sometimes people, they tell you, themselves, they say, "Oh, without this," right? Why? Because you look like a Muslim. Alhamdulillah, this is a good thing. So those are ma'lum min ad-dini bil-darura, are things that you cannot differ in them. This is what the first one that is blamed. اختلاف في الدين. So الاختلاف المذموم المحذر منه, the one that is threatened, is al-ikhtilafu, to disagree, to have a discord into the fundamental of the deen. الذي يترتب عليه اعتبار المخالف خارجا عن الدين. The one who disagree in such matter, he's out of the deen. Of course, it has a whole analysis, not like the fact that someone he's doing something haram, it becomes out of the deen. We're talking about the disagreement. So someone he's pleading, for an opinion and insisting and persisting that he's right when he's totally conflicting the truth. That's the one, if he believes that he's right. Like, for example, people, they try all ways to find reason why things is haram. They come up, years ago, they said, for example, the pig is haram because it has some germs or microbes or things that cannot be killed with the fire. So if you cook it, still this harmful thing still, has effect. So someone said, no, today, they have a new way of cooking that exterminate everything, which is make it then halal. You see? So they said, wallahi, if he's exterminate everything, is still haram. Why? Because Allah said it's haram. That's it. Simple. So I said, so someone would dispute, no, that's not right, because we need to know the reason, and the reason is this. Now that and the hukum, the ruling, is usually based on its reason. And if the reason does not exist, then the hukum does not exist. Okay? He said, no, the reason it's not what you have presented as a reason. The reason is Allah said it's haram. That's the reason. He given us a beautiful example here. قال, example, the time of Abu Bakr, when the A'rab, they refused to pay the zakat. So this is not a matter to agree and disagree. Come and he said, we used to pay to the Prophet ﷺ. Now the Prophet that he passed away, we don't want to pay to anybody else. So what Abu Bakr said, he said, okay, let's have a meeting and shura and discuss it. قال والله لو منعوني عقال بعير لقاتلتهم عليه. If they stop, not the zakat of a ba'ir, not the zakat of the camels, the zakat of the rope that hold the camel. If they stop paying it, I will fine them for it. Because this disagreement is going to subhanallah, lead to the collapse of the whole deen. وكما فعل علي كرم الله وجهه في قتال الحرورية الذين كفروا المسلمين. Ali radiallahu ta'ala an, he fought the Haruriyya. Al-Haruriyya are those al-Khawarij. Khawarij who right and wrong, calling everybody is kafir. Kafir. And there's people, subhanAllah, till now, these thoughts, don't think that they are gone. There's people, they still adhering to this type of thoughts. They were like a sect somewhere in the Middle East. They follow combination of Sufi, Shi'i, and Khawarij. It's a combination like, an atomic bomb. So we didn't know about that. So this is years ago. So we have a couple came and they said, they had the problem. Said, what is the problem? Said they get divorced and they find one solution how to get back. He said, that's easy. I mean, if you agree and this is the first time. He said, no, this is not the first time. He said, what do you mean? He said, actually, today it was the fifth time. I said, I'm sorry, I cannot hear that. I mean, only today 5 times. He said, yes, because she followed this sect. And this sect, any sin done make me non-Muslim. So whatever he does, she thinks that is haram. He told him, you are not a believer. Then we are separated. Then he said, okay, I'm going to repent. So he go make rak'ah. I said, I repented, I'm back to Islam. So I said, okay, we can get back together. So in next hour, they get a dispute. He said, you committed the sin. You are a kafir. Then you are haram on me. And for these people, by the way, the majority are like, the jeans and the non-hijab is halal for them. So it was like kind of a combination that you could not understand. It's, by the way, in Lebanon. Whoever knows the country, you will understand a little bit. طيب. فعلي رضي الله تعالى عنه, he fought the Haruriyya al-Khawarij because of the mischief they used to do or spread among the Muslim. And if we'll have the time, inshallah, I'll read for you what Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anh did for them, and how the etiquette and the ethics and the great manner how to deal with people disagreeing with you. And that was one of the texts that we're going to study, inshallah ta'ala, that he went and he brought maybe the third of them. They followed Ibn Abbas. They changed their opinion and followed Ibn Abbas back. طيب, قال ولذلك خلقهم. When we say, and for that reason he created them, so created them to disagree. So in reality, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us for all of that. To have mercy on us, to disagree, because the disagreement leads to the rahmah. Because if you do not have the ability to disagree, then we will not have the ability to think, to choose, and to know what is the path of good, so we work on it to be on that path, to excel on that path. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us this ability because Allah wants to have rahmah on us, and in the same time to Allah know, and He already knows, whom among the people who will choose, because of this ability, the wrong path. The clarification here, I will read what Al-Qadi Abu Muhammad rahimahullah in one of the tafsir mentioned. Someone can say, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for what reason and purpose created them to disagree? كيف خلقهم للاختلاف؟ وهل معنى الاختلاف هو المقصود بخلقهم؟ And it's truly the disagreement is what intended in the purpose of the creation. فالوجه في الانفصال أن نقول إن قاعدة الشرع أن الله عز وجل خلق خلقا للسعادة وخلقا للشقاء. So if you just reflect and take some steps back and say, okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He put the foundation of the Sharia for His creation to be a creation for the Sa'ada, to be, winner, successful, and the creation for the misfortune, to be a loser, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. ثُمَّ يَسَّرَ كُلًّا لِمَا خُلِقَ لَهُ. And then Allah, in the path, make easy the path for everyone who choosing the path, either for the success or for the failure. So Allah give you the guidance, the element of the guidance, the first step that you do in your life, and that first step with intention, with sincerity, Allah will make easy for you the path that you intended on your own will. واضح? I'll give you a surah which is make it very easy to understand. Surah from قصار السور, سورة الليل. طيب. والليل إذا يغشى والنهار إذا تجلى وما خلق الذكر والأنثى إن سعيكم لشتى. Verily, you strive for are diverse. Indeed, your effort are diverse. Your effort is dispersed. Your effort and deeds are different. You see, we start the difference here. فَأَمَّا مَنْ أَعْطَى وَاتَّقَى. So as for he or she who gives and fears Allah and is dutiful to Allah, keeps his duty to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is the intention, this is the beginning, this is the first step. At this first step, you've been already fully immersed into the belief. What it means, أعطى واتقى. So someone, for example, say, give me what you have for money. You say, why should I give you my money? Right? But if you have an understanding of the whole vision of your life, you know that the money you have is not yours. And you know when you give the money, you're going to receive more. And you know when you give the money, it's going to help to contribute in the betterment of this society around you. So you give it for the right purpose. Wattaqa, so that when you give, that taqwa that you have, it toward the base, and when you give, is going to increase your taqwa. So you see from the beginning here, you already made your choice. واضح? Look, and the other one, he said, وَأَمَّا مَنْ بَخِلَ وَاسْتَغْنَى. But as for him who hoard and deemed himself independent, but of who he withhold and considered himself or herself free of need. So this is a vision of life, right? This is a belief. So someone, he set his first or her first foot in this life. I do whatever I want. I'm free. I want to do this. I want to do this, and I have the ability to do this, to decide, to control my future, to control my destiny, and so on and so on. It's a belief, right? Look, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, the other, قال وصدق بالحسنى, and he believed, testified to the best. صدق بالحسنى, and he believed in the best reward, believed in the goodness. So he knows the path, the whole path, and the element of the path, the criteria of the path, and he believed in the revelation. So he believes in all the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because when you believe and you act based on a promise. And that promise, it becomes certain to you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, fear me, I'll provide for you. Fear me, I grant you sweetness of iman. Fear me, I will be with you. Fear me, I will defend you. Fear me, I will be your companion in the grave, in the hereafter. I'll admit you in my mercy. All of that is what you believe. So you acting upon what you believe. So this is saddaqa bil husna. If I have doubt about this, then I'm going to find another way that is going to guarantee for me what I deem good for myself. Okay? So the other one who took another path, قَالَ وَكَذَّبَ بِالْحُسْنَى, and he gives the lie to the best. So he said, oh, I don't believe that there's this Jannah, I don't believe there's things I cannot see, I cannot control. Who's telling me like, if I don't work, who's going to feed me? I need to build my career, I need to do this, I need so on, so on, so on. So I don't believe in all of this. Simple. So you see, the first step and the second step is yours. Look then, the third thing, قال فسنيسره لليسرى. We will make indeed smooth for him the path to bliss. So is a result of your choice, of your determination to be on this path, that Allah is going to make easy for you to His mercy, the way for His mercy. For the other one, he make his choice, he withhold, he denied the revelation, then as a result, we will make smooth for him the path of evil. As a result, he's gonna get what he wants. واضح? So, coming back here, then we understand that قاعدة الشرع أن الله عز وجل خلق خلقا للسعادة وخلقا للشقاء. يسر كلا لما خلق له. And Allah make easy for every group what they have chosen. He created them, Allah, for that. And He's going to make easy for them that path because they chose that path, as I have explained from Surah Al-Layl. وهذا نص في الحديث الصحيح. And this is actually explained in an authentic hadith. وجعل بعد ذلك الاختلاف في الدين على الحق هو أمارة الشقاء وبه علق العقاب. And then, after you choose your path, make the disagreement is the sign. It's either to go forward or to go backward. So the disagreement, the ability of disagreement, is the test in itself. So when he said Allah created them for the disagreement, created them for the result of the disagreement. So the disagreement is going to have as a result for you to hold fast to Allah, or the disagreement is going to have as a result for someone to fully, completely deviate from the path of Allah. واضح. So the most important point here, so the disagreement is a necessity. Why? Because as we said, you know, the example of fear, if you do not have the emotion of fear, then a person is going to be, subhanallah, at any moment be like ruining himself or herself, or like getting themselves in a very danger situation. Why? Because they do not have any fear. So if we do not have the ability to disagree, so this ability to disagree emanate from a fact that if we cannot disagree, so we cannot use our free will. Rather, like the example I gave earlier, if someone is created to only eat one food, it's irrelevant to give him a menu of many types of food. صح ولا لا? It's a good example. So, for example, if you take an animal who only eat, for example, grass, and you give him like food, meat, and everything, they're not gonna eat it. They're not even gonna look at it. So, if you give me the ability of the free will, and I don't have the ability to disagree, then the free will is irrelevant, because actually I do not have it, because I don't have the tools to use that free will. واضح؟ So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I only create the jinn and the ins to worship me, so here the same thing. So Allah created them for the result of the worship. So I created them to worship to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The result of it is to be successful. And the disagreement, the result of the disagreement to be successful. And the one who desists from worshipping Allah, he's going to lead himself or herself to corruption. These are notes that you have them already, mashallah. So we start I think we have another question to answer, which is yes. We read part of the malaise of the discord, inshallah ta'ala, and then we start the part 1 after Salat al-Maghrib, the meaning and the nature of the ikhtilaf. We're gonna see the khilaf and ikhtilaf, the meaning of it, and then al-jadal, and then al-shiqaq. And after that, inshallah, in the program today, and the book you have it, so you can refer back to the book that you have it. I can also, for those who want it in Arabic, I can upload it in the Arabic version too. But you can find it, inshallah. Then we might, inshallah, if we have time, to conclude about maxims related to the matter of khilaf. And those, we're going to have them as our dawabit to help us, inshallah, guide us, inshallah, in our study. So dawabit, there's things, for example, no khilaf in the muhkam and al-qat'i. Things like that. So what are our dawabit? Our maxims, our, masail, necessary to know to guide us in our study, insha'Allah ta'ala. So we'll stop here. We'll see you bi'idhnillahi ta'ala after Salat al-Maghrib. And the break will take it later bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Yes. Yes. It is if you, it's uploaded if you want. But the book is named here, the book, The Ethics of Disagreement in Islam. The Ethics of Disagreement in Islam. And there's the other book of Ibn Taymiyyah, rahmatullah alayh, The Removal of Blame from the Great Imams. And this is here the notes that I was reading from the Arabic. Is also, I put them in Arabic. You can add your notes in English from what I have conveyed to you, inshallah. Meet you after Salat al-Maghrib, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. Yeah. I like that. Sheikh Walid back?
Yes, it's like that.
mashallah. From India.
Yeah. Maybe it's too small. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's small. Yeah. I'll try it if not. It's your size?
No, I didn't try it. No, I don't know.
Try it.
It's okay.
You don't try it.
I don't wear this one.
It's good, isn't it?
Oh.